Today we will go ahead and take the top 10 questions related to your government budget, fiscal, monetary policies and government budget. Okay. So let's have a look at these questions. Which of the following statement is correct about government spending? When government spends more than it can collect as revenue, it incurs revenue expenditure? No. The definition of revenue expenditure is any expenditure where you are not forming any asset or liability. So no asset or liability is revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure has got nothing to do with the gap between spending and collection. So that is a deficit. When you spend more than you have, it's called a deficit. So this is incorrect. Come to the second option. When a government spends more than it can collect as revenue, it incurs capital expenditure. No, this is again the definition of a deficit. So the capital expenditure is where asset or liability are formed. So this is also a deficit. This is incorrect. When a government spends more than it can collect, it incurs a budget deficit. Yes, this is the correct statement. C is correct and D is also incorrect. It cannot be a surplus. So whenever you spend more, when expenditure is more than revenue, then it is called as deficit. It is called as deficit. So this is a deficit. Okay, come to the next question, beta. Which of the following statement is true about fiscal deficit? Okay. It is the difference between total expenditure and receipt of the government excluding interest. Yahi sahi hai actually. The first definition itself is correct. When I don't include interest, but excluding interest, total expenditure minus total revenue, इनका जो gap होता है, that is called as fiscal deficit. Not interest, sorry, excluding borrowings. Interest वाला तो primary deficit हो जाता है. So excluding borrowings, the difference between total expenditure and total revenue, that is called as fiscal deficit. So the answer to this question is C. Okay. So come to the third question now. Which of the following statement is true about primary deficit of the budget? ठीक है. So primary deficit, what is primary deficit? As I was just telling you, when I talk about primary deficit, beta, primary deficit ka formula is, it refers to the difference between fiscal deficit and interest payment. So likh lo. Primary deficit is fiscal deficit less interest payment. Fiscal deficit क्या था? Total expenditure minus revenue excluding borrowings. Right? So let's read this out. The primary deficit is 0 when revenue deficit is 0. Primary deficit can be 0 if fiscal deficit is equal to interest payment, isn't it? तभी तो 0 होगा primary deficit, otherwise नहीं. So primary deficit, क्योंकि primary deficit का definition is this ना, fiscal deficit minus interest payment. So it will be 0 when the fiscal deficit is equal to interest payment. That means answer to this question is D. Okay. Come to the next question. Which of the following statement is correct about direct taxes? But direct taxes means tax that is collected directly at source. Like for example, एक example ले लो, income tax. People who are earning income are paying the tax directly to the government. So this is a direct tax. So direct taxes are collected from the income earners is correct. Direct taxes are collected from producers on goods and service produced by them. No. Direct taxes are collected from sellers. No. Direct taxes are collected from buyers on goods and services. No. Because यहाँ पे incidence of tax involved होता है. So the people who are paying the tax and the people who are on whom the burden of tax is falling can be different. So the first answer is correct. Come to the next question. What is the duration of the financial year? So financial year is from every year April 1st. This is a very easy question to 30th March. Laddu question hai ye bahut. So answer will be B. Come to the next question. Which of the following statement about capital budget is accurate? So capital budget basically is beta where capital expenditure and capital receipt are involved. है कि नहीं? So capital budget consists of direct and indirect tax? No. Tax में no asset liability involved. It cannot be capital. It consists of capital expenditure and capital receipt, correct? It consists of revenue expenditure receipt? No. It consists of direct taxes? No. So answer to this question will be B. Come to the next question. Which of the following statement describes the function of a budget? तो budget क्यों बनाया जाता है? Budget is made to understand income and expenditure of the government. Budget is prepared because you want to understand where the government will be spending money. Budget tells us about the different programs of the government. So answer to this question is all of the above. Everything is correct. All three parts. Come to the next question. Which of the following statement is true about an unbalanced budget? So beta, unbalanced budget वो होता है जिसमें you have huge expenditure, very less income, right? So unbalanced budget is where your expenditure is huge, but income is less. This can usually happen during the period of COVID beta. During COVID ऐसा हो सकता है कि expenditure बहुत ज़्यादा हो और income काफी कम हो. So during that period you can have unbalanced budget. Okay, so this is correct. Expenditure is more than income. Income is greater than expenditure. None. That's incorrect. The deficit gets covered by loans or by printing note. Correct. So we know better that printing of note is called seigniorage. Right? So either by loans or printing note, you can cover the deficit. So answer to this question will be A and C. So that means D is the correct option. Only A and C are correct. Okay, come to the next question. Which of the following statement about goods and service tax is accurate? It's an example of indirect tax. Huh? Indirect tax is correct. Direct tax, no. Non-tax revenue, but non-tax revenue नहीं. Revenue receipt में ही आता है ये. Because tax है ना. So it's a tax revenue. So it's incorrect. Is an example of income tax? No. So answer to this is A.